Every live event is filled with moments of excitement. LiveSource is a new game-changing app that allows you to create auctions instantly during these moments, as the crowd's excitement is at a fevered pitch.
Comes back with his second triple of the game.
Imagine, after spectacular moments, you could remove any item from the field of play and place it into a live auction in less than a minute while the game is still on. Imagine the fans in attendance bidding on and winning one-of-a-kind memorabilia and experiences from that event while the event is still going on. LiveSource handles the heavy lifting so that there are no limits on what can be sold or when it can be sold. Auctions can be created in less than 60 seconds, at which time the app immediately notifies fans to start bidding, determines the winning bidder, and arranges payment and delivery moments later. Excite your audience with highly shareable moments. Motivate more fans to attend your event, increase revenue. With LiveSource, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
All right, well, we're live. Look at these two studs, flat out studs on the show. No, I got to thank first LiveSource. LiveSource is an online auction and raffle app. If you guys aren't partnered with them yet for M2 and the stuff you're doing, you definitely got to get with Scott. It's a great tool for really anybody who's got a team or does events. It's a great way to stay engaged, especially now when teams aren't really playing. So check out livesourceapp.com. Today is going to be kind of unique and fun. I said, let's just go live. I got these two guys that, I used to work with. One got me hooked on indoor soccer, and I've been out of control ever since. So I've got Chris Economides on the left there and Andrew Ross. How's it going, guys?
Going good. How are you, Andrew? And quick plug for LiveSource. I can speak that they were great working with us at the Tropics, and really awesome way to raise money for teams, foundations, community. I mean, they're definitely doing a good job there.
Yeah, Scott's been great.
I'm doing great, Andrew. It's good to see your chubby little face there, as always.
I've actually slimmed down slightly. I'm down to 232 right now, so okay. I'm feeling better.
The other way over here, with all that stress eating, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is that people don't realize is, whenever I operate a team, there's one thing that I really get started on first, and that's my food deals, right? So I remember, Andrew Ross came over, started helping out. He was with the Orlando City, and he put on a couple pounds, I think, because we ate so good at lunch every day.
All I can say is 2 words: Mongolian Grill.
So talk to me about Mongolian Grill, because a lot of people don't know what that is.
Well, it's a excellent. When we were side by side buddies and with the Florida Tropics. Somebody with a lot more brains than I got a partnership with Mongolian Grill. It's I would call it like a buffet, Asian style or Mongolian style. I'm sorry. That they give you these little plates that literally you can only put like 3 or 4 things on, but somehow you, being the stud that you are, would get on there, like 8 pounds of food. And so I would try to match it, bite for bite, as they say. And you know what? You're still the master. But let's just say that I left her pretty filled up.
Well, I remember the first time you went till the last time I went with you, and you definitely have become more of a pro. It's all about how you stack. Do you stack the meat, the veggies? Like, you don't even do veggies. You just do meat.
Exactly. Well, I mean, what the, no salad, no veggies. Let's just, pile on the shrimp and the crab meat and the beef and the chicken and the pork and everything else.
So for people out there watching, the millions and millions of fans that we have for the Andrew Haines Show, if you're out there, post in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. If you got questions for me, little Andrew, what we used to call him, and Chris, throw it up there. But Chris, kind of give people a little sense of your background, because you're kind of a legend in the sports world and have started a handful of teams. You've been the commissioner of some leagues. So kind of give us a little bit of that story.
Well, I don't know if it's a story. I'm a legend in my own mind, I guess. But no, I mean, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to work in soccer.
Look at this guy in here talking trash.
Is that Flynn?
Yeah. Good old Flynn. Good
Okay.
old Flynn.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. But anyways, I've been blessed to be able to call my passion my job. Because the early 90s, when I got involved in indoor soccer as one of the partners in the Kansas City Attack. Won a championship there with my good friend, our coach Zoran Savic, who's been the assistant with the Kansas City franchise at MLS. Peter Vermees's assistant coach for the past 12 years. I started there, then went back home after I lost a boatload of money there. Won a championship, but
that ring. What'd that ring cost you? That's the question.
Oh my God, yeah. But no, went back home and started what I think was the highlight of my career, and helping Steve Donner and Frank Duras start the Rochester Rhinos. Arguably one of the most successful minor league sport franchises of all time. Was there from we started the franchise in the fall of 1995 with my good friend Steve Donner, and we won 3 USL or A-League championships there, and I think my proudest accomplishment was winning the 1999 U.S. Open Cup when the Rhinos, or we beat 4 or 5 MLS teams.
Is that nobody else has done that, have they? That
No.
has not been MLS.
And you know what? Not to sound cocky, but I don't think it'll ever be done again, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents. So I was there until 2006. Then went off and started the Carolina Railhawks in Cary, North Carolina, which has now become, I think it's what's it called, Andrew?
North Carolina FC.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
New team there.
Great franchise there. They're doing very, very well there. Then left. I kept going south, Andrew. From Rochester.
Me too, man. It's nice down here with palm trees and the sunshine.
Yeah. I mean, so I went from Carolina, then I came out of Tampa. Was the commissioner of the what is now the USL Championship. Back then, it was just called USL. Had the privilege of working with some really fine people there, and my mentor, Alec Papadakis, good friend there. And then from there, we took a dive into the indoor game, and that's where I met my good friend Andrew Haines. And I'm sure that Leah still curses me that I got you involved in indoor soccer, but was the commissioner of the, at that time, MISL. We tried. You guys were impatient, and then we had some AHL teams that were willing to come on board, but then
I wasn't impatient. I just joined, so I didn't know anything.
If they're listening, they know who I'm talking about. But at any rate, so from there, parted ways with the USL, came to join my good friend Mr. Haines in Lakeland with the Tropics. Had a nice run there, and then Andrew and I have, after the pandemic hit, some changes had to be made, and we've been partnered up together here for the past 6-7 months. Formed our own company, and we were honored to be named the M2 deputy commissioner, which, not to sound arrogant or anything, but I've been involved with indoor soccer and obviously outdoor soccer. I think the arena game is a great game. What I like to preach is family affordable fun. It's a great sport, and we hope to be able to grow the sport from the grassroots level. We've created the first pyramid in indoor soccer with obviously
you started a pyramid scheme. What?
You could call it that. But no,
that's cool though to have those levels, because you got to have those guys training and getting ready, because it's a different game.
Well, not only on the field, but more importantly, from my perspective, off the field. We hopefully will, we appreciate the trust, that our parent officers in Chicago, Dr. Sev, Armando Gamboa, and Kevin Milliken, and Dominic Turcotte, and all those guys have shown confidence in us. And then working with Blake Schumacher and the ASG group has been fantastic. So hopefully, we've got something special here. It's a special game. I think it takes, some tough decisions. Hopefully, we'll be able to play good cop, bad cop, and I'm always the bad cop. Yeah, Andrew does well because he's more of a politician than I am. But hopefully we can grow the sport.
No, that's cool. When you were up in Rochester, though, you said that was probably one of the most successful teams. What do you think it was about that made it so successful?
You know what, Andrew? People always ask that, and you can't just point to one thing. It was lightning in a bottle, as I say. Rochester had a great soccer past. With the old Lancers, playing outdoor, and then obviously, Rochester's a very ethnic city with lots of Italians, Germans, Greeks, Jamaicans. It's a cultural melting pot there. So I think just bringing back soccer was obviously the first step. Playing at that it was called Frontier Field at the time. Being the first tenant to actually play in Frontier Field, the baseball team up to the Rochester Red Wings opted to stay in their current home at Silver Stadium for the remaining of the '96 season, and we just said, no, hey, we'll take it. So we converted a baseball stadium into a beautiful little soccer stadium, and Rochester's a very niche sort of city. Everybody wanted to see the new stadium, and we transformed a lot of those people from being casual soccer fans into Rhino fans. We had, my good friend Jeff DeVeronica, and obviously my close friend Soccer Sam had, tremendous help in that, with the media coverage. The Rhinos were essentially the Yankees of Rochester. We'd be, and again, times have changed now with all the, stuff that's going on now with, Facebook and live stream and all that stuff. But back then, we were like the lead story. Front page of the sports page. Live eyes at 5 o'clock with the news. So that obviously, having the media behind you helped a lot. And I know. And then last but not least, we had a great team. That team could have, a lot of those players could have played MLS. A lot of players turned down MLS contracts. I would kid with Sunil Galati and Mr. Doug Loken, who was the commissioner at the time. And they say, hey, God bless it, Rochester. They're always a thorn in our side. But it wasn't. It wasn't me. I had a great staff. Great staff, great people. Like I said, it was lightning in the bottle, Andrew.
Was there ever did you ever think about hey, can we take this thing MLS? This was back when MLS was still maybe within 10 years old or 15 years old. Did I lose?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
No, did you guys ever think about, trying to take that to the MLS, the team?
Oh, we were, you can see my hand. We were that close. We had, probably one of the greatest gentlemen in all of American sports history. Mr. Lamar Hunt flew into Rochester. We had numerous meetings. I think I've told you the story about Steve Donner and I taking Mr. Hunt and his son, Dan Hunt and John Wagner to the stadium site. If not, I can tell the story. But it was this close. We actually went to the USL meetings in 2004 and did a schedule with the Rhinos in it and with the Rhinos out of it. And so it was very close to becoming reality. They were going to move the Kansas City franchise. We went out and, Frank Duras, God bless him, he went out and secured, I believe it was $40 million in a state grant for a brand new stadium that's sitting there empty now. But yeah, no, I mean, the aspirations were there. The goal was there. We just, couldn't dot the I's and cross the T's.
And so, for those of you who have seen all of my shows, you might remember Andrew Ross. He was on a while back. I want to say this was during probably the COVID shutdown, early on. But Andrew Ross was the GM of the Florida Tropics. And so how did all this come about between you guys here? I mean, going from a team to the league. I mean, I've been on both sides of it, and the league side is a very thankless job and difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think I was actually the first episode of your Free Agent Fridays, and I think we did like an extended episode because we hadn't caught up in years really. How this all really came together is when COVID hit, everything started to shut down, and that was when people started having conversations about other opportunities, and we had really seen that there was an opportunity kind of in the lower divisions of the MASL, and it needed somebody like Chris, with someone like myself who could come in and really elevate it to the next level. And it was a long-term process because there's more than just saying, oh, here's a league, go, basically. So it took about 6-7 months just to work all of the back end things, get all of the things in place, make sure we have the right partners in place, team set up. And we're still working through it, obviously, and we have some big announcements that will be coming out with starts of the seasons and things like that. Actually, this coming in the next couple of days here, so with some more information. But Chris and I joked that my first ever interview at the USL 10 years ago, I sat down in front of him, and he goes, "So I hear you want to be the commissioner of Major League Soccer one day." And, I sat there and went, oh my God, how does he know that? I don't tell that to anybody. What is this guy doing? And I was so nervous and intimidated. And I got to know him a little bit through my time there working under David Wagner, who's now with the NBA G League. But I think it was kind of funny how we went from that, went our separate ways. He stayed at the USL. Then he came into the Tropics. We built a good relationship there and said, hey, as you mentioned, being on the league side, it is a thankless job because you do a lot of work and deal with all the headaches, and people don't realize how much logistics go to the back end of operating teams across the country, getting teams to certain places, all that kind of stuff, the paperwork that goes in. But I just saw it as a good opportunity from a career standpoint as a next move in my career. It gets me to stay working with someone who's mentored me my whole career, and just really excited with kind of the ideas and the business plan we've put together for the next 3 to 5 years to grow this league, and really, push the whole sport in general to start getting the attention that we all know that it deserves from the media and the fan base in general.
He's the brains and I'm the beauty.
I was going to say, I'm taking it. Andrew Ross is the commissioner and Chris is the deputy.
What's that?
Chris, you're the deputy, right?
Hey, I'll do whatever Andrew tells me. He's the only one that's got a sound mind about him. I'm always going off in 18 different directions. He's sort of my
gotta keep you balanced. But
he's my mentor now.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, I think I remember indoor soccer as a kid growing up in Pennsylvania. I'd go up to Hershey and Harrisburg when they had teams, and how much fun it is. And a lot of people, if you look back in that 80s and probably early 90s, these indoor teams were drawing huge amounts of crowds. What do you think kind of hurt that? And then what do you think needs to happen for it to start going back up, which I think it's already started going back up. But how do you get back there?
I'm going to answer that, Andrew.
You start with the first part. I'll go with the second
Well,
part.
I mean, look, Andrew, you've been part of both. The league side with the football, and then obviously the ownership side from football and soccer. It all starts and ends with the quality of ownership groups. We can preach until the cows come home, as they say, but unless you have the proper ownership groups, and I'll give a little shout out to my friends at USL. They've done a tremendous job in getting qualified ownership groups at every level.
Yep.
Sometimes it's painful, so sometimes you need to take a step back to be able to take two steps forward.
Yep.
But you have to have the wherewithal, and in an ideal situation, not only the financial wherewithal, but also, like yourself, if you have somebody who's got a sports marketing background or his own teams and it comes into the ownership mix, that's great. But in my opinion, we've got a great sport, a fantastic game to sell. We just got to get the right ownership groups in place.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's key, and I think the other component to that though is making sure the business model is proper so that teams aren't losing tons and tons of money. I mean, I think that's, when I first got into it, I think some of the expenses or budget items probably weren't where it should have been for the level, and trying to balance that out and then increase revenues, I think are definitely.
That's important. A great point. And I always tell this story, and it's probably tired of hearing it, but I go back to my days at the USL again, and the sport at that level was at a crossroads. And at the time, my boss, Alec Papadakis, and Tim Holt, the president of the league, and I would, we were all going after the same potential ownership groups against the NASL. And having had friends on both sides, both Tim and I told Alec, I said, look, their financial model is not working. I mean, it's not rocket science. If you're spending $3 to $4 million and you're only bringing in $1 million, on a good year, it's not going to last long. So you're absolutely, and then, we stuck to our guns, and now, as they say, the rest is history. The USL is, one of the best run, Division 2, 3, 4 outdoor soccer leagues in the world. But you're absolutely right. And that's what I think we have with the M2 model, is that it makes financial sense. We're not, it's a 12 to 16 game overall season. You're not spending, $500,000 or $1 million on your operating budget. You have realistic expectations. And that's what Andrew and I are tasked to do now, is to bring in some new memberships, but
Careful.
also hold their hand. Like, for instance, we've really grown very fond of this group that's applied in Cleveland. They're trying to bring
market.
It's a great market, a great past history. They've got the Cleveland Crunch name, and they've applied, and hopefully we can get them across the finish line. But I'd rather have somebody that's that's hungry like that, that's like absorbing a sponge when you talk to them, that listens to you, that's going to market the game properly, that's going to sell the game properly. I'd rather have somebody like that than somebody that's got $10 million that's burning a hole in his pocket, goes through it in 4 or 5 years, and then
done with it.
Exactly. So that's my sermon for the day.
Well, and it's kind of a mix too, right? I mean, I was, coming into the MISL with you. I mean, I was definitely by far the lowest level, as far as like finances go. I mean, and I've been fine saying that for years. Like, I'm not a money guy. I mean, I've been fortunate. I've had some opportunities to have some cash here and there, but I don't have anywhere near these guys. But I did have the desire to be successful, and
that's why you were successful.
Knowledge.
Yeah, you were very sick. I mean, but you were wildly successful in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, again, very similar situation to Cleveland here. St. Louis is a great sports city, just as Cleveland is. St. Louis had a great soccer past. Going back to the old Checker Dome with the St. Louis Steamers drawing 18,000 fans a game. So you've got to put yourself in a proper situation. So I thought that you were the perfect mix to go in there, and you did very, very well there.
Yeah. Well, I got through the season for you, and
you make money there. Don't give me that baloney. Yeah.
So Andrew, tell me though. Okay, so tell me about moving forward. How do you get it to that next level?
Yeah, well, I think, the first part is what he mentioned, is finding a home for teams that maybe aren't ready to jump right to the M1 level, because that's really what was happening, right? Is teams just saw that as the top. Let me go straight to the top without having a sustainable business model and really even getting their feet wet into what the indoor soccer, arena soccer world is. So I think that's a very important part of the future. I think some of the other things that we're looking at is the history of the game and why was it so successful in the past, and can we look at some of those brands that might have been successful in the past in those markets and find a way to bring them back. So we used the Wichita Wings for an example, an older historic franchise that came back, is playing in the M2 but averaging 3,000-4,000 fans a game. Some of that maybe has to do with the history. Some of that has to do with the great job Blake has done there with marketing it. But that probably ties into the same thing from the league perspective, is awareness, right? Get people to know that this sport exists, get them to watch a game, follow a team. It's almost like the people ask, why is the English Premier League really boomed so much in the past 5 to 10 years? They've marketed saying, you don't live here, so you obviously aren't going to follow your hometown team. Pick a team and follow that team. It's a similar model with this. If you don't have an indoor arena team in your market, can you find a team that interests you to follow? But that also comes with marketing on the back end, and digital marketing is probably more heavily there, where we can get people just to watch one game, follow a team, see, hey, this sport was really exciting to watch. I'm now going to follow the Wichita Wings and see how they do, even though I live in in Nebraska or wherever that is. And I think that's a big part of it. So the awareness side, getting people to realize that, getting them to games, and then getting it to the point that teams are sustainable. And it's a lot easier said than done, but that's kind of the roadmap that we have laid out over the next couple of years here, is get a decent amount of teams in, start to grow them. You also have the M3, which we haven't even really talked about, that was established this summer as an even doorway to the M2. So somebody who's playing out of a 500-seat facility, they can now have an opportunity to play in the major arena soccer league and apply. So the standards can be lowered to find a home for everybody, build them out of those homes and grow it moving forward. And that's how I think we get the sport on track to get back to where we know we want it to be.
And then also, I want to mention our good friend Kevin Milliken.
Yeah.
Kevin Milliken with the PSL. I mean, he's he's been sort of like the godfather of the arena game.
Yeah.
He's kept it alive. He's believed in this the past 20, 30 years. And so, I mean, he's part of the mix also.
Everybody's working together now,
yeah,
which is the biggest part, is we're unified as a sport, saying we all understand that if we work together, put all the minds of people who have been in this for a long time and people like me who have been in it for a little bit shorter, but maybe are growing into it and have a vision. And how do we get everyone's piece to the puzzle to, get the full picture here?
Yeah. Well, I think too, you hit it on early there, is there's a learning curve for when somebody buys a team, and you guys have seen this from the league standpoint, and it's frustrating sometimes, but I think the M2 could be a great way for those people to dabble, get in, get some experience before they move up into those, much bigger budgets, to make sure that, they're operating efficiently and everything else. And, it's an important part, in my opinion, is getting the business model to make sense from a financial standpoint, so that you can expand, and have teams, really pretty much everywhere.
Well, I mean, Andrew, I think you just hit it on the head there. The financial model has to make sense. And, I don't want to stir up any poo-poo here or anything, but I mean, does the highest level financial model make sense right now? I mean, if you're operating
for some teams, I think it does, but I do think that it limits. I don't know if the sport is there yet, whereas if you build the M2 model properly, at some point that could develop and promote enough teams to that higher level where you do have a 20 to 30 team major league, like the hockey leagues and some of the baseball leagues. But there's a very little margin of error there that you can have with these teams at that level. So, that's why I like the M2 business model more. I mean, we've talked about it a bunch, and, same thing on the arena football side. I've been saying it is, the game of both they're a lot of fun. They're a great game. The fans love it, but the business side of it needed tweaked. And I think this model, with the proper marketing and everything else in the community, all that stuff that we did when we were in Lakeland with the Tropics, if we had M2, we would have probably made money, right? And would the fans how much of a difference would the fans really have seen? I mean,
It's got to be competitive, exactly. And I think the M2 teams and the Wichita Wings proved that when they went into St. Louis, who just bolstered their roster and won a game, and then they were competitive against Kansas, competitive against Dallas. So they may not be the best team, but they're almost there, right? And that's the upper echelon of the M2. And I think with, Lakeland's a great example of how when you get involved in the community, nobody knew what indoor soccer or really even soccer was in Lakeland. And we turned it into quite a little soccer hotbed. And, I see they just hit a march to the match where they had, almost like 100 fans marching downtown Lakeland. That's the culture. Who would have thought that would be available in Lakeland, Florida, 5-6 years after we established that franchise membership? So I think that's definitely the model, but hopefully also what Chris mentioned, us helping teams. That's the biggest part. We've lived it, we breathed it from the team side. Hopefully now we can take that knowledge with some of these newer teams and newer operators at the M2 level and really get them to understand and share with them the information that we've received over the past 5 years learning to do this, get them sustainable. And then there will still be teams that jump in right into M1. You look at Utica City. I mean, they're upper echelon. They didn't need to start into M2 and then jump into M1.
They had a good system with the hockey team. And
so there's some teams that'll be ready to jump right in, but then those other teams that it's maybe being a little bit forced, okay, can they do a provisional year or two in M2, see how it makes sense, make sure that they do get the ticket sales, the sponsorship, and they're not just jumping into something they can't sustain and they're a one and done. So that's the big evolution. And then how do we get, people to remember the history of the sport with also sharing that vision for the future?
So going back to you, Ross. So I always go back. You were at Orlando City. Tell me about that jump from Orlando City to me coming in and a brand new startup. We're the only indoor team within 1,000 miles. How tough, was that kind of looking back, making that decision?
Well, I always joke that you must have been a good salesman to get me to jump from Major League Soccer back into the indoor game. But I think I should prelude with that so people know that I did start in the indoor game with the Syracuse Silver Knights and Tommy Tanner and John Raymond up in Syracuse. So I had two years experience with my feet wet in the indoor game and fell in love with it there. I played it as a kid. Baltimore Blast were the closest team to where I grew up in Washington, D.C. area. So I had some history a little bit. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always had that entrepreneurial mind. I've always wanted to see the bigger picture in things. I think with Orlando City, while it was one of the best experiences of my life, I'll never forget it. There was only a certain level that I could get to where I reached my ceiling there before it was going to be 5-10 years before you're promoted to a director level or a vice president level. And my mind, maybe it was right or wrong. I think I am where I'm supposed to be now, but it was a tough jump, but it felt like it was the right thing to do in the right time. And it was really exciting to start something from absolute scratch. And as I mentioned, to see where it is today, to think back to last season before COVID hit, when we, had a packed house in the RP Funding Center, with thousands of fans in the seats for the first time. And it was like that 5 years had finally said, hey, this is why we did this, is that this is now the hot ticket in town and the thing to do in Lakeland. So I learned a lot from Major League Soccer, but I felt like to learn more and really further my career, I had to take that risk and jump out and say, what is it like to start something from absolute scratch, and where can that take me? And obviously very thankful to have, mentors like you, like Chris, to kind of guide me along the way.
You got two stud mentors.
I know.
Right there. Come on, Chris. This kid has got it made. He had an all-star team since he.
Yeah. Either that or he's scarred for life. I don't know.
Probably.
But yeah, it was an advancement in my career, and it was a big jump, I think, right off the bat to go from, a senior ticket sales, account executive to jumping into a management role, really in charge of a club. I think it took me a year or two to really grow into the GM role, but very thankful that I had that opportunity because I learned a lot from it, and I think I can share that knowledge to help teams and operators and owners in the future.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing about what you're doing now. So it's one thing to work for a team, but to be there from the beginning, you were at my dining room table, right? When we were, negotiating with arenas, we were meeting with the city officials, trying to get office space. So you have a good understanding of kind of that process to get something off the ground and then maintain it like you guys did after I left. So, I think that's going to be very valuable. And I think that's one thing that leagues really lack right now. I'll be honest, I thought the MASL lacked it, is support. And at the top level, I didn't feel like there was support there to the teams. Like the USL, when we were in that league, you felt the support. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're having more success with their growth the last 5-10 years, because they're providing that. And if you guys continue to do that and focus on that, I think it'll be wildly successful.
Well, like I keep telling, I use another one of my analogies here. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink, as they say. And what that means is, Andrew and I can recommend or talk until the cows come home. But ultimately, everything that we're saying here, it comes back to the quality of the ownership group. Yep. They have to invest. Again, I'm a firm believer in, the on the field product is great and everything else, but your heart and soul is your front office. That's where you're going to either make it or break it, in my opinion. And sometimes, some of the owners don't, they don't see the value of that. They have blinders on where all they're focused about is, winning a championship or, winning a game. And that's great. We all have that competitive, spirit there. But ultimately, we're going to do our best to try and hammer home to these people. Look at this is how it works.
Yeah.
We've got 30 years of experience here. You want to listen to us? You'll have a lot bigger chance of success.
Well, I remember coming into that first MISL meetings in Tampa, and the guys were kind of like, he's not a soccer guy. He's not a soccer guy. And I think sometimes we get caught up in that. I think, business first, and focus on that. Everybody wants to jump in and be Jerry Maguire and like sign players and do all that. But really, that's kind of the easier part of this. Putting butts in the hardest.
That's the fun part.
It is.
Everybody strives towards staying within their comfort zone. That's the fun part. The hard part is to go out and sell, like Andy was selling. That's where we get out of our comfort zone. When you're talking, I can call up somebody, hey, you want, $2-3 a month? Sure, that's the easy part. But to call up and get a sponsor on board and work and nurture that's the hard part. And it's a process. It's not a light switch.
Well, whenever you guys get a team and you guys need a goalkeeper, I want to recommend Flynn because he was always out there,
Yes, he was.
And the thing is, I didn't like is he would always bait me into like, shooting on him and stuff. And he was good for me because I suck. But what I didn't like is he has cameras in the arena. And so like he went back into the surveillance cameras and made a highlight video of him stopping the shot. So, but that's the kind of stuff that makes it fun. Having the relationships with those guys at the arena, it sucked when he left. He's over, I think, with the Buccaneers now. But I don't know if you remember the first year we did the game and Chris didn't play. But
hey, I'm 62 years old. Yeah, you want to carry me out on a?
I think I scored a hat trick in that game. I just want to prelude that. Still.
You had a hat trick?
Still got it ready to sign my striker contract for whoever's out there. Looking for players. Let me know.
No, but that's always fun. So let's talk a little bit about Lakeland too. So how, what we should have did is we should have had some food while we were doing this because we're always breaking bread. But there's a couple places that every time I think of, I will think of Chris. So I think of Chris anytime I see Mongolian Grill.
Well.
That's the best one.
Well, go ahead if you want to share the detail. I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no,
okay.
so that's a good one. And then Fred's. When we would go to Fred's buffet.
You guys loved your Fred's. I couldn't. That was too much for me.
We would come back in a coma every day.
I know, and then I'd have to work the whole afternoon so that somebody was getting stuff done while you guys had your nice food comas and everything.
I took it as a personal challenge. I mean, I saw the master at work the first time that we went to Mongolian Grill, and I said to myself, "How the hell did he get all that food?" Because it was like a one trip up. You couldn't go back, so you're trying to be whatever, and Andrew had this thing down to a science. It was perfectly, it brought back memories of Steve Donner, to be honest with you. Steve would always.
Well, we went there with him, I think, right? Didn't he go there?
Yeah. And he still talks about it.
That's a good spot. What are some of your favorite spots in Lakeland for food?
Well, I mean, I think Andrew was there. I mean, I used to like going, with God rest his soul, Hunter and I would go to El Forno a lot.
Yeah, El Forno. I mean, that was, and I think you can vouch that that's the best Italian food I think I've ever had in my whole life. I mean, Mick was always a good host to us too. There was a burger place that was like in that little.
What was that Cuban place?
Yeah.
Remember the Cuban place that was?
Oh yeah, there's a Cuban place in
office?
downtown. What was that? That was the Silver. Was it Silver something diner or whatever?
No, that place that was right by the new office there. Right in that little mall.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what that place was called, but I would say that Il Forno was if I had to pick a number one restaurant, I think he just, I mean, that Italian food you can eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's delicious. So and always took such great care of the guys, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, no, that was always good. So you guys are in the Tampa area. Leah, look, this is the first time Leah's actually watched one of my shows.
Oh, hot and box.
You remember when we went there and then the lady came out to serve us with
she had an ankle bracelet on while she was
on. And she's like, I can't serve you past, right here because I can't legally leave here.
He kept telling me, we got to go to this chicken place, and believe me, I've eaten in some of the biggest dumps in the world, but the food's fantastic. We went up to this place. I'm telling you, this. I mean, I don't know what I can say on here, but let's just say that
internet, so we're good.
Okay, I mean, she had to be a crack whore. It came up to us or whatever. Tried.
It was in an interesting part of town.
Yeah.
I should say that place, that part of town, actually, they did a great job. They cleaned it up.
It's closed.
Yeah, I mean I'm just talking about that street. Remember that street?
Oh yeah. I would see a fight like that was that.
Yeah.
Remember those 2 blocks? I said I'm going to create a website called onlyinlakeland.com.
Yeah,
because I legit I've seen everything when I would drive in there. Like a couple times, people just fighting on the sidewalk.
Yep.
Like all kinds of stuff. It was
a scary place to have to sit at that light too, because you kind of. But they put up Yard on Mass. It's a beer garden and kind of has a food truck area. I think there's like an art studio next to it now. I mean, they've really done a good job cleaning that part of town up. But I think it's a fish place. It's a shrimp and like crab place is where Hot and Box is now. But
yeah, I saw that one.
That was an interesting.
And to be honest, Andrew, it really wasn't all that great.
No, it was.
The one I like the country fried. I think it's country fried chicken and fish, or country fish and chicken on that. I don't know what the road is, but it was really good. It's always a long wait. But yeah, I mean, I like to eat. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, Chris. Don't shame me. Don't.
How's that hernia doing, Andrew? Is it still is that spot like a copy of your?
Yes, I still have my hernia, and it's nice. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we can get a pizza partner for the league. So shout out, Domino's, Papa John's, whoever's listening, Pizza Hut. We'll take some pizza. Yeah, Forno. We'll open it up nationwide and everything.
Yeah, right? I'll turn it around a little bit, and I mean, all kidding aside, Andrew, I heard you got like some tremendous response when you like we're trying to be like a conduit to help people. I'm
to get jobs with.
Yeah, I mean, that's really that's really well thought out, and you should be commended. I mean, all the joking aside here.
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of cool. I mean, the response has been unreal. It wasn't even something like I was like, hey, maybe I'll get a half dozen people and I can kind of, I mean, because even you, Ross, I think you reached out at one point about a graphic designer, and somebody from Free Agent Fridays I tried to connect you with, and if nothing else, it's just connecting people. And damn, that one post is like 550,000 views.
Insane. It's,
And
I mean,
thousands of
for the
comments.
industry, right? I mean, people are hurting in our industry right now. I mean, I know a lot of, unfortunately, friends, and I was, victim myself. And, you just kind of got to stay out there, and like you said, connecting, just connect with as many people as you can, reach out to Chris, reach out to myself. Our stuff is on this show. I mean, we can help out wherever we can too. We've got teams that are going to be hiring, but it's been a tough year for people working in sports, especially a lot of those, my age, who maybe were, 5 to 10 years down the road, but we're probably first in line to say, look, sorry, we got to make our cuts. Our senior people are staying, and this is the time to part ways. So it's really great what you're doing, and I definitely encourage people to reach out to you if they are looking for a job still, because there are opportunities out there. Things are getting better, and I definitely think we'll be back to normal hopefully by the late 2021-22 seasons in sport.
Yeah. And it's been cool because, teams have reached out and said, hey, here's a job we just posted, can you share? And so, that's pretty cool. We just had the Indianapolis Colts sent me a job to post out, and, just teams all over. So that's the cool thing about the sports world. I mean, it is kind of a small group as well, and helping each other. But yeah, as you guys, get back, please, I think, having a spot on your website or something on the league website for team positions would be helpful for, where guys can go and gals. But there's a lot of good people out there. And, that's the number one thing I've been preaching is, these teams, you need staff. I mean, you can't do it by yourself. So keep that up. So how do you guys, some of the stuff we were talking about comes down to ownership. So how do you find that right owner? And what are you looking for?
Well, I mean, it's obviously not an easy process. I think that, what's happening in quite a few markets is, you at least expose the sport there, and then and this is where you may have to take a chance with not as a qualified ownership group as you would like. But then, if the team, draws some fans or does well, you'll attract, somebody that's got a little bit more wherewithal. But I'm not saying that should be the process. It's really it's a lot of inquiries. It's a lot of using LinkedIn and using other various aspects online with certain markets. It's a lot of networking. I mean, to be honest with you, that's the biggest thing that I bring to the table in this partnership is my connections. And it's just like, I'll be talking to somebody, and we went and saw a couple of coaches. They used to coach in the USL at a combine in Orlando last week. David Irving.
Didn't call me, but that's cool.
I know. All right.
I drove right by my house. It's cool.
I know.
I brought me lunch.
I apologize profusely.
He drove, so I'm innocent.
But at any rate, I mean, it's all about, networking. And then one door opens another, and then you gotta, think outside the box. And at least that's how I go about it.
I think we should talk about the model too, Andrew, is in especially the M2 season. We understand that there's a lot of teams that operate in that NPSL, UPSL, USL2 level who play outdoor soccer for 4 months out of the year and are maybe playing in tournaments or whatever they can do in the wintertime. And those are definitely owners and operators that we want to explore the M2 model to keep their business year round from an operating standpoint. Because it's not a huge additional to your budget to be able to say, all right, I'm going to play M2 or M3 or even the PASL for that matter. So now there's levels for every operator to say, I want to start playing indoor soccer. And then once they start doing that and get in the community, I think that's where others will see how much fun just operating and playing arena indoor soccer can be. So I think that's a big important part that we state is that model of playing indoor outdoor, and that we from a league standpoint understand that and welcome teams who are interested in that model to contact us.
Yeah, that's a good
I was
point.
going to say real quick is it's cost savings. I mean, if you have an outdoor team and an indoor team, you have one front office like we did in Lakeland, right? I mean, it was able to be as efficient as possible.
Yep, exactly. So
Yeah.
So what are the requirements? Like, what do you look for as far as like market size or building specs? Like, what is the ideal spot for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, at the M2 level, it's obviously to be playing in an arena, so 1,500 plus seats. We are working with some teams and understand with COVID that they maybe have to play in a temporary facility before they can go into an arena. But it's the arena size is the big one. The operating budget is obviously another part of that. So being able to travel to away games probably a little bit further than at the M3 level. We do try to keep everything within a drive so teams don't have to fly. However, some teams choose that maybe they want to do 1 or 2 flights. So that's, I would say the arena is probably the big part, right? I mean, that we really look for.
Well, the arena and obviously the market size as another requirement. And, I mean, you don't have to be, Phil Anschutz, to actually own a team. But we're looking for a little bit of financial stability, so, but again, I mean, it comes back, and that's the job that Andrew and I are tasked with is to vet, it's not just one thing, if you fit 3 of the characteristics, but lack the 4th, that's where we can work with you.
Do you have experience operating a pro team?
Yeah. Would I make the cut?
You would.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, we gotta work on that, guys.
Yeah.
We gotta work on that.
As crazy as it sounds, no, but I mean, let's be. I mean, look at the days of the Andrew Haines and the Chris Economides of owning, upper echelon franchises is gone. Mm-hmm. But still at this level, you know what? I mean, you would be an ideal operator, to be honest with you, because you've got the sports.
This kind of sounds like that pitch I heard back in like 2012, 13.
Well, you're the one that
do it.
You're the one that well, whatever. But
I will say this: he sold me on St. Louis, but he was right. Okay, so I'll give him that. Like, thank you for that, because it was very good. It's my biggest regret business-wise selling that team, but I wouldn't have did it if you weren't. Oh, St. Louis is awesome. The normal.
You wanted to come to Florida though, because Florida's a beautiful place to live, and I think we're all happy that at least there's a team in Florida, because obviously the Southeast is not a arena indoor soccer hotbed at the moment. So there's another project obviously we're tasked with here. But at least St. Louis, and they're still doing well. So had you not done that, there's your legacy there, your legacy in Lakeland. So you let us know where you're trying to continue that legacy with the next venture here.
Well, you know what, Andrew, I think you know me well enough. I think you know me well enough that I'll be a straight shooter with you. I mean, I mean, whether I'm wrong or right, that's your prerogative. But I'll tell you how I feel, and I'll give you an honest assessment. I thought St. Louis was a tremendous market based on everything, and but as they say, happy wife means happy life. So
the people have spoken.
Speaking of wives, I still cannot believe my wife actually tuned in and watched one of my shows. This is a first.
She must be bored out of her mind.
She is upstairs. Oh. I told her, I said, Leah, come on the show with me. I'm going to have these 2 on here. And she's like, I am tuning into that one. I wanted her to be on, but she's a little camera shy. So how scared of Leah were you guys in the office? She's scary?
You want the honest answer? It was very, very intimidated. And I think you helped set that up perfectly, because, you were like, yeah, everything's, here's me, you're the easy one to talk to. And then I could never really read her of like, is she happy? Is she mad at me? Like, am I doing a good job? So she pulls off the boss look very, very well.
I got a better question for you. How scared were you of Leah in the office?
Yeah, right.
Don't hit me.
I remember many a time, literally cowering under your desk, for fear of. No, but hey, she's a sweet, beautiful young lady. You're a very, very lucky man.
It helped too from the synergy standpoint.
I don't see it,
but
you're a very, very. I don't know what the hell.
She's beautiful. What do you mean? Of course, I'd want to marry her.
Oh my God.
Smart, beautiful.
Working out recently. I mean, he's got a famous show now. I mean, come on. He's, big shot here.
I mean, come on.
But no, those were the good old days, right?
They were.
The dining room table is the best example. I mean, that's literally how you start a team. It's from the dining room table where I drove to your house every day for months until we found an office.
My highlight there in Lakeland, and I still chuckle about it, was remember our first game against San Diego?
I wanted to bring this up. If you're thinking of the same thing I am, go ahead.
Well, my comment to our then partner was, you know what? You better enjoy this because it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah. That was a good win. But what I like better is the promo that you did. And this was, I remember Andrew was totally against it. It was the Donald Trump lookalike. Remember that, Ross? You almost quit.
It was the worst timing to do that too. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And
that was totally him. That was not anybody else.
We kept it under the rug, but I was like, no, but I will give him credit. I argued him that driving a car into the field with a starting lineup was going to be a risky promo, and certainly learned my lesson. That was one of the best promos we've ever had. I mean, I encourage teams to do that all the time. I mean, I was sick every time a new car, and it was always the top of the line for whatever brand they gave us, and players jumping out of that. And what a better way to encompass a sponsor. And that was some interesting things. So there's still some juice up there, but that was one of them that we're like, okay, well, that was the lesson that do not do's here in minor league. He loves his minor learned promotion.
I told you I wanted to do OJ night, but he wouldn't let me.
I learned how to draw the line, and that's obviously
we would have had like a Lakeland police officer chasing like a white Bronco around the field.
Oh, yeah.
We'll stick to dogs catching frisbees. I think that's the better promo and some freestyle soccer players, right?
Yeah, let the kids play at halftime or something.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, to give Live Source a shout here, one of the best promos that we had was the specialty night. So when we did Star Wars night, that was amazing. Superheroes night, and then we're able to auction all those jerseys off and the game balls and everything on Live Source. But I think OT Sports is the company that does those. But Star Wars night was one of our best selling nights once we finally learned that you can get the characters out and get all the licenses and everything to be able to do an actual Star Wars night. So those are definitely areas that teams should be looking to generate revenue, because we just made it like a movie. You came to a game and you were like in a Star Wars movie that was, the game theme. And
jerseys were cool too.
Yeah, the jerseys were always very cool.
I still have that photo with the big tall guy from Star Wars.
Chewbacca.
Is that who it was? Okay.
Yeah.
This guy was like 8 foot tall. I had no clue.
But fans love to get in those jerseys. I mean, they were sold out. Every jersey would have a bid. We'd have people calling, going, "I missed the auction. Can I please get something?" And they're like, "Hey, look, that once the auction's over, the auction's over." And slowly we learned you could take a couple pre-orders or whatever. But great opportunity to get fans excited and just build minor league soccer.
How did you use Live Source more than that, or just that one time?
Yeah, we used it. No, we used it for every time we did a specialty auction, and then the end of the season jerseys. We would do autographed items, basically anything that we could throw to auction that we could market. It was there because it's so user friendly, and it's really easy for fans to go on, bid. They get automatically, and it really is user friendly for both the people and for the team. So definitely highly recommend it as an opportunity to generate revenue where you might have not been able to do so before.
What I was thinking of using it for is, I'm a big enter to win guy, and community stuff. So my thought was set up a free raffle and just have, a barcode or something that people can get on their phones and then register. That way you have their correct email address and phone number. A little bit better than, remember having the interns go in there and have to type all that stuff in. I don't know if that went electronically after that, but I think if there's a way to do that, I think that would be huge.
Yeah, especially with fat people don't like touching pens and paper in today's fortunately in today's world. So that's
people you said.
No. People don't like touching pens.
Oh, I thought you said fat people. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm offended.
Well, that's it. I don't want to say. I mean, look, I shouldn't talk.
No, you shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't. All right. So what's it look like? How many teams do you guys have now? What's it, kind of looking like coming out of COVID for you guys?
It's definitely a challenge right now. We'll be anywhere in that 6 to 10 team range for the 2021 season. We expect to be a lot, in that 10 to 20 range for 2021-22. We've got, like 138 inquiries right now that we're vetting from people who are interested in teams in different markets. As you mentioned, it's a lot easier to just fill out an application form than actually get approved. But this season's definitely a challenge. We're just working through it. We've got some teams that can't even practice or do anything. So we've extended that the opt-in date is April 1st for teams to choose that they want to play. As I mentioned, we'll be announcing a lot of information on our social media tomorrow and Wednesday about really the sooner than later start to the season. I'll leave it at that. And then the season will end probably around July, because not normal times, but we really we need to give that big length distance to try to get more teams the opportunity to come in and play some games this year. So this year is really whatever we can do to get through with it. We're exploring, a few different opportunities, but really we're building towards next year, having a successful full season launch with new teams. And as I mentioned, trying to bring back some of those historic brands that we can really get people excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just chime in, Andrew. If things aren't back to normal by next November, December, then I don't know what type of
we're in trouble.
Yeah,
we're in trouble.
So I mean, everything,
have faith. I think we'll be there.
Everything that I'm hearing, from a hockey perspective, from football, basketball perspective, is that there'll be some semblance of normalcy. Hopefully by this late spring, early summer, by
the end of the year. I mean, unless something major happens, I think things should be. I mean, the ECHL has fans down in Fort Myers and Orlando, Jacksonville. I don't know about the other cities, but I noticed them on social media. So, hopefully, and then just people just be safe and smart. I think is the big thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But we're excited. I mean, our tagline there at M2 Arena Soccer on social media. So, hopefully any new listeners interested in what we're talking about here, follow the league, follow the first division, the third division, where, teams are going to be coming online, and hopefully we can really start to see what that pyramid looks like on a big scale within the next year here.
And so tell me this, because my perception, so when I hear commissioner and then I hear deputy commissioner, what I think is the deputy commissioner probably does all the work. And then the commissioner just, I don't know what the hell he does, but he gets to go out and shake hands and be at the press conferences.
Well, that's what I said. I'm the brains and I'm the beauty. He's the brains. You're pretty spot on there, though.
So what do you kind of break down what you guys do, what your roles are, so people that are wanting to work in a front office of a league sometime, what kind of roles and responsibilities do you guys have to do?
Well, I mean, I start off and then, look at, the good thing about our partnership is that, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And Andrew doesn't have very many weaknesses. Obviously, I'm at my age, I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world. And that's where, and I'm being kind to myself there. So, I mean, look at, and Andrew, I mean, to his credit, he's gained his law degree with all the stuff that he's had to go through with all this, bringing all these parties together over the past 5 or 6 months. And he's just been tremendous.
I mean, what I've tried to say is, my goal here is I'm looking at this long term. It's not just, let me go and just grab a quick job. I mean, I could have gone and done, one of 10 different things here over the past couple months, and maybe they were a little bit limited with COVID, but still, this is what I want to do. And I love this sport. I mean, this sport just has so much potential. It just needs people who are eating and breathing, sleeping it every day, like I will be doing, to make sure that we're pushing it moving forward. But a lot of what Chris also brings to the table is, this is the first time I've been kind of really brought into a position like this where I'm not an assistant. It's still an assistant to some degree, but really saying, hey, you're responsible for these. There's things that I still don't know that he's been through. He's been through every experience you can manage in sports, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, when the bad and the ugly happen, and it's my first experience, he's got a lot of guidance that can, walk us through those scenarios to come out on top. But another thing he mentioned earlier was his connections, and that's such a huge opportunity to open doors, to find new people, to get people interested in the sport again. And I really hope that that's what it does. But yeah, I mean, my responsibility is just a lot of the paperwork, all the paperwork and the legal and thank God we have a really good commissioner at the M1 level and a good support staff with John Raymond and Josh Schwab there, who have been tremendous in helping us build this out and really establish the pyramid here and get into our position. So we've got a lot of great people behind us, but hopefully between the shared vision that we have, we can get things going here and gain more interest for the sport and grow from there.
Well, look, he's the heir apparent, as they say. At my age, I got couple more years left here, and then pass it on to Junior here. So I'm telling you, he's going to be qualified.
I do think that that's a good mix between the two, because you can't buy the knowledge that Chris has,
right?
And the problem with Chris is, and he mentioned it, is he can barely turn a computer on. So, or if he does, he opens up wrong stuff and he can't click out of it. I don't know, but
we've had some lessons, but
I'm getting better.
He is getting better. And in his defense, he's willing to still learn, but that's obviously a big part of why I'm here.
Have you ever seen those insurance commercials where it's like, I just went to this website. Did I just hashtag? That's
what is the hashtag?
Commercial. Don't be your parents. Yeah.
Exactly.
The waiter doesn't need to know your name.
Yeah. How about this with the league? You talked about pyramid. So is there opportunities for an M2 team to advance to M1 through winning the league championship, kind of overseas?
I mean, look, we obviously have no control over. I mean, we can put into a contract that should a franchise do well enough, financially, that they can be grandfathered in for an M1 expansion franchise. But we really have no control over that. Now the goal would be to have promotion relegation within M2 and M3, where we do have control of that. So we could, if somebody, does very well on the field, as long as they can meet the criteria, financially, arena size, all those things, then yeah, I mean, we can.
We're a long way away from that right now, but of course that's, we're traditional soccer guys. We know what the world's game plays, and if we could incorporate some of that, but I would say right now, yeah, it's based on performance both on and off the field to be able to rise up. But if a team has aspirations to be M1 and they want to start in M2, we will do everything we can to work with them and get them ready to the point that then, within a year or two, they're jumping up. So and same thing from M3 to M2 or even the PASL to M3.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I would take it too, just at the M2 and M3 level. I mean, you could probably have, 100 teams. You look at the MPSL or the, what is it, USL2 now. I mean, just between those two teams, there's probably over 100 teams plus. So for that, is that kind of a similar thought process for you guys?
Yeah, we're not, as I say, we're not recreating the wheel here. What the USL has done from an outdoor perspective, if we can even scratch the surface of doing that from an indoor perspective, it's and again, mostly to Andrew's credit, he's the one that brought these parties together. As I always know, I won't even get into my other analogies here, but it was Andrew's persistence, that this deal got done. And again, in summation here, we did what we were doing for the best of the game. We're not in this to get rich, nor are we getting rich. But if you look at some of the past problems with any soccer leagues, where there's, especially indoor, there's a lot of egos involved. And let's put our egos aside. Let's all work together for the betterment of the game. And that's where we all win. And hopefully, we're sitting back in 3 to 5 years and saying, their vision, was spot on, and now the entire sport is benefiting.
Yeah, I think as you develop that, and I think the M2 and M3 are a great way to really promote just indoor soccer in general. And that's really what it's about, right? Like,
Exactly.
let's get as much out there as we can and just, continue to promote the game and hopefully get it back to some of the glory days, because people love those times. And just like when we would sell like the old school logo in St. Louis or the crunch, like, I mean, that stuff is what, like, people love that right now. And I think if you could tap into that, I think you really have something. So it sounds like you guys are kind of, headed in that right path, which is exciting. So I'm going to be excited to watch kind of you guys grow this thing over the next couple of years.
Well, you let us know where you're putting your team in, so we're here.
Teams.
Teams.
No, I mean, look, we're excited about, hopefully we can bring our vision to fruition, and hopefully, we'll always be friends, Andrew. Hopefully there's some opportunities down the road where, through your football connections or whatever, we can partner up on something again. But you know what? They will never say "what if" on my tombstone, because and yours,
Hey, listen.
Like I told you, there's something really, really fishy. But you're like my long walk love child here. Because
I did talk to my mom. I was like, Mom, were you at the Hershey Park Arena back in 1978?
Oh God, no!
Because that would have been hockey season. I was born November of '78, so that would have been the 77, 78 AHL
hockey. A
hockey
lot of hockey prevalent at that time, and you know what? Your mom's a very pretty young lady. All kidding aside.
Oh God!
All kidding aside. I mean, look at you. You're to be commended because you follow through on a lot of your dreams and aspirations. And like I said, on both our tombstones, Andrew.
Some work, some don't.
Well, hey, you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah.
You can't say what if.
How about website? How do people find you outside of the social there?
Yeah, it's m2soccer.com. So very easy, m2soccer.com. They've got the content there, and then obviously following on the social medias. I'm Andrew Ross, Chris Economides, add us on LinkedIn, and we're always happy to have a conversation, and even if it's just talking shop when it comes to sports or picking brains, that's how you meet people and how business and ventures get done. So we're here to talk, and thank you for giving us this outlet to share a little bit about what we've been doing here and what we're going to be doing moving forward.
Hey, my phone's blowing up. ESPN's calling, Fox, ABC, CBS, CNN.
You're famous now. You're welcome.
He does get those calls, but it's all related to the Rhinos and what's going on. How it's
Right.
today. So
Oh no, we were looking for a different Chris. My bad. Anything else you guys want to add? I know that I took about an hour. I know we could be on here all day. So,
well, I mean, we could tell a story. And again, we haven't told any of the really in-depth stories here because
I'm going to
give us a couple of them
for liability reasons.
Yeah, it's great getting caught up again, and thank you for taking the time, Andrew. And we still hopefully lunch this week or next week. I promise that if I ever drive anywhere near Orlando again, that I will have 40 lashes with a wet noodle, as they say. So
I cried for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah, well,
we've been to the tavern in quite some time. That's the
Celebration Town Tavern.
Let's go to the Mongolian Grill over there at that where Leah would always get her candy.
What was that place called? Like, was that like
Red
Hot Fizz or Hot Rocket or
Rocket Fizz or something?
Rocket Fizz,
something. Yeah. And they had like bacon soda in there and like all kinds of crazy sodas.
I do remember that. Ryan, shout out to Ryan Sweet. I remember he would love to go and get his soda after lunch.
Oh, from his St. Louis root beer company.
Yeah, St. Louis root beer company. And now look at him. There's another. I mean, the Florida Tropics going abroad. I mean, he's rising up the line at the Bucks. I think we've had 3 or 4 employees and/or interns now who have turned around and gone and worked for the Bucks. So it goes to show, just from a career standpoint, don't think that I'm starting in arena indoor soccer, that it's minor league, that I'm never gonna get it, because it doesn't work that way. It's all about experience and what your work ethic is to be able to rise up in the industry. So,
and speaking of Ryan Sweet, one of the all-time best backs to whack, I'll tell you what.
Tell us about your back whacking that you do.
Well, I mean, if he were here, I show the people, but
show us on Ross.
No, we can't. He's got a bad back.
Yeah,
he's like in his 20s. How do you got a bad back? Come on.
Oh man, I don't even know. Lower back injury. I don't know.
It's called a cup.
You know, they say you get to 30, but yes, the back cups were definitely a thing back then.
Ryan Sweet had one of the all-time best cupping backs.
Ryan Sweet will not come on my show.
Why?
He says he's not allowed to. The Tampa Bay Bucks don't allow their people.
Could he come on as a former AGM of the Florida Tropics and not mention where he is? Maybe
that's what I said. I said we don't even have to say anything. But
well, I highly
gave me tickets the other week, so he's all right.
I highly doubt that he would get noticed or caught, to be honest with you. But hey,
well, listen, the millions and millions of people watching. Somebody will call HR, and we don't want that with Ryan.
No, he's done a great job over there. I mean, he's been there almost 3-4 years now. So rising up the ranks, and I mean, from
can you imagine that? How hard of a sell was the Bucks before Tom Brady got here, and how easy is it now?
Oh, it's like
yeah, and it's now they have limited seating because of COVID. So
exactly.
There's not even that many seats to sell and things like that. But
I mean, they're gonna go back to the glory days when they were sold out just on the season tickets.
Which big win for them last night. So that was good for the Tampa Bay. It'll be interesting if they.
Man, I hope they pull it off. That'd be awesome to have them in the Super Bowl at their home stadium.
Is the NFL rigged to the point that they're supposed to be playing at home?
Hey, come on now. We're not going to say that.
Have they announced what the capacity is going to be at?
I think it's still 25%, right?
That's it.
I don't know, but I did look at tickets last night just to see if it was within my budget, and it's slightly out.
$7,000 a ticket. That's
$77.50 per ticket. Upper level corner.
Yep. How much?
$7,750.
That's crazy.
Yep. So $8,000, and you sit in the nosebleeds, but you're at the Super Bowl.
And that's if you want to go by yourself. If you want to take somebody.
It's $15,000.
Parking's probably $1,000. I don't know what parking is, but
$15,000.
All right, what's your favorite story from your time in the tropics, guys? Each of you. Anything.
Favorite story over time. Okay, I got one here. Maybe favorite is the wrong word here, but one of the most memorable that taught me a lesson was the opener for our USL2 home opener, where we had over 5,000 people in the stands, and I'm sitting up in the press box, and it's our first outdoor game, so I'm still learning the logistics and everything.
Nothing's working, everything's going crazy.
No, but everything was actually going pretty smoothly up until I'm standing up there and I see our team walk out in teal jerseys and the Villages walk out in green jerseys. And on the exchange sheet, teal and green, we thought blue and green. I don't know why we didn't even look at that, right? So both teams are walking out, and I literally have never sprinted so fast across the field. And I'm yelling at our team to get back into the locker room so that I can figure this out. I run around the village, I say, hey, we're in the same uniform. We need to do this. Lesson learned, the other uniforms, our orange uniforms, were not there. They were at the office, which thankfully was only 15 minutes away. So there was a thunderstorm in the distance about miles away. So we just said it was a weather delay out of precaution, which ended up increasing our food and beverage sales, which ended up being a win-win, and people still seem to be having fun. But the worst part was we sent an intern, and I won't mention his name, but we sent an intern to the office to get it. And I get a phone call, and he goes, hey, the office is locked. And I go, you got to be kidding me. Of course the office is locked. You didn't bring a key to the office? So I got to send another intern that goes to the office, grabs the jerseys, comes back. We put our guys in orange kids, get them all back out. We win the game 4-3. I mean, it ended up being great, but it certainly taught me my lesson of double check everything 2, 3, 4 times, and also make sure if you're hosting your home opener, you got that away kit. But I will never forget that as one of the funnier stories of my stressful times at the Florida Tropics.
And the thing is, nobody outside the little circle knew.
Nobody.
That's how it should be, right?
Shout out to Jeff Thompson, one of our fellow followers. He knew, and he was like, "I'm pretty sure that this is what's going on because I've been to every game for the past, Orlando's history, and they've definitely, had their problems in the past." So, but nobody knew because we did it. It was only like a 30-minute delay, but there was a thunderstorm, so it all played out. People still had fun, and the game got played. But man, I would never forget that, and just how worried I was. I mean, the commissioner of the league was there, and hey, but we figured it out. And that's what sports is, right? You're always thinking on your toes. It's very fast paced, but you find a problem, you find a solution, and you do it as fast as possible. I'll leave it to you for your glory days.
Well, I mean, I don't need, I mean, I've been trying to think of something in the whole time that you were talking. And I think like what goes back to the first story, after we beat San Diego in that first game, I mean, just the first game in franchise history, and to be honest with you, it never got better than that.
I'll tell you what, that was a great one because I remember their team telling me like, oh, the league shouldn't even have scheduled us to play you as our opener. Like before the game, like they were like already thinking they were going to smoke us.
But I'm just saying from like a,
no, I know, but for me, it was just good to come out there and we won it.
I remember that game was tough because I had never fully operated an indoor game because I had learned under Alan LaVenture from Syracuse Silver Knights back in the day. But he had never really said you're 100% in charge. I'd always had him to kind of shadow. And I remember that being difficult, but it's amazing to look at where that was to when we were doing like a 40-page script with Star Wars movies and, superheroes and all that stuff to go from like the basic of I don't think we had any promotions. We had nothing. It was just basically the game to like literally, like I said, a 10-page script to a 40-page script. So it does go to show that you can heal. I do want to add the one thing that while Chris doesn't give credit because he's had plenty of championships in his day, winning the UPSL national championship, that was, at least for me, very special. He doesn't put a lot of stock into it because he doesn't think it, but I flew out to Texas. I was in the stands in that game where we were down 2-0 in the 89th minute, came back in, scored 2 goals in the last 5 minutes, took it to overtime, took it to PKs and won in PKs. That, you just don't get any better from a sports perspective than that. And that was a really special moment just to be able to say at least we had one championship, one under our umbrella. I actually have the picture on my desk right here of Kimberly and I holding up that trophy in Weatherford, Texas. So
did you guys get rings?
We did not get rings. And again, God bless his soul. Hunter Lucier, I think, has the only ring that was made.
He had one made?
He had one made as a sample. And I'm just because I know he shared pictures of it, a few months back. So I think there is one out there that was made, but I don't think any were made for the team.
Come on, guys.
I know. Hey, it wasn't. We don't shoot the messengers, But no, that was a special moment and something I'll definitely never forget. And we had a lot of good times there. I mean, we really did. So now we're excited that we're doing it on a national scale because what else could we do besides share what we learned there to hopefully help teams grow and prosper in the future?
Here's a question for Andrew. What's the all-time best scare there?
The best what?
Scare. Yeah, weren't you part of that?
Were you there when Chris accidentally jumped out of a bathroom and scared an employee of a different company there? He thought it was Ryan, and he was just going to go like, "Boo!" and it was a different guy who then pulled his fists up and was ready to punch Chris in the face.
You didn't hear about that?
Yeah,
because didn't you think it was me or you thought it was Ross or somebody?
I think it was Ryan at the time, and he was so sure it was him. And then it was not Ryan, and this guy wasn't even supposed to be on our floor, but he was. So
the guy walks out of the bathroom. And I just pop out at him, and he just turns his.
He was fists up. He was ready. He was ready to go. And then
that would have been so fun if you would have just got your ass beat or something.
Turns all red and just runs away. And I don't even think I was there because somebody had to be responsible there. And they
Hunter had it on. Hunter had it saved on his
video.
On his phone. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's 2 things that are now.
Yeah. What some fun times. No, we definitely, I think that's probably my favorite part of the business is just, those relationships and like, everybody's so close because we're doing so much, working so many hours. Well, except like Chris, he only worked half a day, but like the rest of
in his defense on the league standpoint now, my man is in here like 8 a.m. to like 6 p.m. every day. I mean,
he's old. He gets up at probably 4 a.m.
grinding.
Hey, this is I'd much rather be here than in home.
Well, yeah, I don't think people understand where your office is too. You're like on the water. It's like, what? I mean, why go anywhere else?
His drive is the causeway from literally his house to the causeway. So he's driving through beautiful water views until he gets to work. Then he's got a water view from the office because we're on an island, over by the airport in Tampa Bay. And then he drives back. So, yeah, I mean, my house. I mean, I was commuting to Lakeland every day. So that was what, he was commuting from Clearwater. So that was like 2 hours, if not more. I was 45 minutes to an hour from Tampa. Now I live, 2 minutes down the street. So as they say, God works in mysterious ways. Well, we're here, and we welcome anyone that wants to come check out our little headquarters here. And hopefully we get some people here, host some meetings, and do some fun things for soccer in Tampa here.
Yeah, and just keep, spreading that out there. Keep it up, guys.
What's your shirt say?
Joker.
Oh, Jesus.
His son's gaming company.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I came up with this because I deal with so many jokers all the time. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, so it's AJ's gaming thing. Kid is making about $100 a week right now playing video games. Now, that's not a ton, but if I was making $100 a week playing video games as a kid, I'd be pretty happy.
Right? I know.
So get on there and donate to him, Chris. Don't be a cheap ass.
Well, I mean, I have no look. I just
you can't get online. What am I thinking?
Let alone going on Twitch and watching
Twitch.
What's Twitch?
So confusing. Let's just leave it there.
Twitch was bewitched when she would twitch her nose.
I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do it in that office right there.
You know what? With that shirt that you have on, you know how loud a cup would be right now? Oh, my God. Here I come. Oh.
Oh, my God. He is sick. We got to get him counseling. If there's a counselor out there watching right now,
I'm waiting.
I can donate a session.
I try my best, but yeah, we could probably use some more professional counseling here.
beyond
fixable. Yeah.
You're done. You're done. But no, well, we'll obviously keep in touch, see how things go. But I appreciate you guys joining me and just chatting. It's fun to always connect.
Likewise. No, this was a good time, and we'll check back with you, and maybe come give us a buzz in 6 months or so here, and maybe we can check in before the final.
I'm hungry, man. I can't wait 6 months.
Next week, but I'll come back on the show, and before we have a final, and we'll keep everyone posted on how our little league and venture here moves forward.